Okay, do I have everything? Yes. Backpack? Check. All right, I gotta get out of here and leave by 6 so I can have time to take the scenic way. We just gotta do it. First road trip on your own. Woohoo! What can I vibe out to today? All right, let's see. I got it. Let's listen to Because We Can. Yeah, that's more like it. What's Jay got to say today? Let's find out. Take it away, Jay.
So, I recently started thinking of different ways that I could challenge myself. Something I could do where I could look back on and say, wow, you did that. You're so freaking awesome. And you proved yourself wrong. Look at you. That kind of thing. And the first thing that came to my mind was go on a road trip. It had all the reasons leading back to connecting with my inner child. I used to be a military kid. Me and my parents would go on pretty long road trips. I just remember that was one of the funnest things to do. I didn't really like moving all too much, but being able to see all the places, cultures, and environments, it was really an awesome experience. And one of the things that was most memorable was whenever we would enter into each state, we would take pictures with Polaroid cameras. And I still to this day have the photo album of all the Polaroid pictures that we would take in front of each of the welcoming signs, like welcome to New Mexico, welcome to Colorado, welcome to Wyoming, like all those different states. And I wanted to, in a way, recreate that feeling of when I used to be a kid. And I was like, why don't you go on this solo road trip all by yourself, challenge yourself, and gain some independence while you're at it, and just have an overall amazing getaway experience. So I have been trying to find time to just be with myself, do some soul searching, figure out what I'm gonna do with my life, all of that fun stuff, right? And yeah, I just kept going back to take this road trip. It's gonna be worthwhile, Jasmine. Just go and do it. You can do it! Either now or never, because if you don't, you may not ever get this opportunity again. It'll be paid for, yada yada yada, all that stuff. So I was like, okay, where do I want to go? And immediately, it was a no-brainer. I wanted to go back to New Mexico, where me and my family used to live when I was still a military kid. We used to live in Clovis, New Mexico, and I was like, okay, I could go back there, but let's do something new. So I wanted to visit places that I wasn't able to visit when I was a kid. So I was like, okay, how about Las Cruces and Carlsbad, all those nifty towns, cities that I wouldn't think of originally when someone says New Mexico. So I was like, okay, let's do that. So my first stop, which was yesterday, was to Las Cruces, New Mexico. And I'm currently speaking at my first hotel that I booked for myself, which is also another amazing experience. Who would have thought I could, afford and be able to stay on my own at a really nice hotel. Yeah, along the way, I did have enough time to stop and enjoy the scenic route. Oh my goodness. I was able to take the scenic way to Las Cruces. So from San Antonio, I went towards El Paso, and that's where I was able to see all the scenery and mountains and plateaus that I remember when we would drive back and forth from Texas to New Mexico. And just the windmills and just that nostalgic feeling that you get whenever you see those certain things that you used to, and it was amazing. But I was actually the one driving. I remember, I was a kid, so I was in the back seat.
Are we there yet? No! Are we there yet? Yes. Really? No!
Soaking up everything and looking around, but this time I was actually driving, and it was worthwhile because at some points I was like, ooh, okay, this is kind of, I don't know how I feel about it, but for the most part it wasn't too high or too scary. It was definitely an experience because you got pretty close to those mountains, and it was just, I tried to take everything in while also trying to film everything, while also trying to take pictures. But needless to say, it was amazing. The view is just priceless. Like, you'd have to be there to witness its beauty. But anyways, so as I was entering El Paso, my mom's partner mentioned to take the scenic overlook, which is a travel type of destination that you can do for a lot of visitors visiting El Paso. It's a main attraction site. And so I was like, okay, let's do it. And so basically you go up one of the mountains or hills, and you go up a certain level, and you can, from that point, see all of El Paso and even parts of Mexico. And I was like, wow, that's so cool. So as I was driving up, I was like, oh gosh, this is kind of steep, but I'm doing it because I'm afraid of heights. And on this trip, I wanted to do a few things that challenge that aspect. So I was going up, and I was like, okay, I got this. I was listening to Camila Cabello's Cinderella Million to One song, one of the main theme songs, and I was like pumped up, and I was like, yes, you got it, Jasmine, you got it. And yeah, I made it there. It wasn't that high. I was taking myself out, but I got there. There was quite a bit of people there, and I was like, okay. And I brought my cameras. I had like 3 of them, one Polaroid, one digital film camera, and then my phone. And so I was just going and just taking in the view and trying to take the best pictures and at the right angles, all that stuff. And then it was really cool. There was this one man who went with his kids to see the view, and he's originally from El Paso, so they were just for a weekend trip to see the overlook. Anyways, I was trying to take some pictures and stuff, and then he came up to me and he said, how do you work those cameras? Do you take pictures? How much do you sell for your photos? And I was like, oh, I mean, I'm just out here taking pictures, just trying to see what I can come up with, just being creative. Not professional or anything like that. He was like, oh, okay, what brings you out here? And I told him I was road tripping and just wanted to get away for a little bit and do some soul searching, really. And he was like, oh, really? What made you want to do that? And I was like, I wanted to get away because I was feeling lost and I didn't know which direction I wanted to go in as far as, what I want to do. Like, what's my purpose? Life stuff. And I said that, and he was like, I see. Yeah, and then we started talking about more life talks and lessons, and that's what I'm all about. I love, even in the most randomest interactions, like with strangers, that's what I get high off of, is having the ability to have those conversations, because not everybody immediately goes to that. Like, what's your life purpose? But in those little moments, I cherish those so much. And for others to be willing to have those conversations, even in a manner of 10 minutes, 15 minutes. But that's what happened yesterday when I was there. The gentleman was so nice, and he was just asking those questions, and we had a lot in common, and just, he was really into music and poetry, and it was so cool because when he saw the cameras, he was like, you should do like a documentary. Like, I love your personality. I could totally see you interviewing different people, doing a travel documentary where you take different pieces of lessons from people and just compile it or make it your own and do it and turn it into something, and you should write a book also, and all these different things that I actually low-key was thinking of when I was still back home and just trying to figure out what I want to do, you know, something creative. That's what he was going off of. And when I mentioned at the core, I want to help people. I'm very into social justice, and I went to school for criminal justice. And when I mentioned that also, he said, you should be a lawyer. You should, what about police officer? And I was like, I don't know about that. And lawyers, I would most likely be the public defender. And right now, the power dynamics are not great with that. But all in all, you know, I still consider it when people mention that. And, you know, just going back to writing that book and making a documentary, and those are the things that give me life. Now, trying to pull it off and actually do the work, that's where I'm at right now. Trying to get myself to be what it is I want to be already.
Just a quick intermission while we move on to the next section where I discuss what I learned from the interaction that I had with this lovely gentleman. If you're enjoying this so far, stay tuned. I got more for you right after this. You won't want to miss it. Also, a huge thank you for tuning in. It is much appreciated. And with that, let's get back to it, shall we?
And I wanted to reflect right now while I can, get it all out of what he had mentioned. Some of the things I pulled from the 10-minute conversation. It was really short, maybe 15 minutes. But if I really want to stick with taking away little lessons here and there from the people I meet, this would be the first instance. And so when we were talking, one of the main things he mentioned was, you know, just being super grateful. That's one thing that he had learned in his life. About 6 years ago, he was involved in an car accident, and when I met him, he was in a wheelchair and, you know, less mobile, but he was still able to get out and take his kids to go see fun sights. And I mentioned that, and he was like, yeah, I learned to appreciate what I have right now and what I've been given, and just being able to be alive and to do the things that I still can, even though I'm limited. And the second thing was his kids, having the opportunity also to give them more guidance and instill strong values within them. Because he mentioned when he was growing up, being from El Paso, choosing the streets, being that hard person, he was saying the older I got, the more I realized that wasn't the way, you know, that wasn't the answer. And I'm grateful now to be able to teach that to my kids, what I wasn't able to learn at those moments or those times, and to basically restart and reframe in a way where I can teach my kids better, to do better, be more aware of how they interact with people also. And it was just awesome to see that. And everything happens for a reason, and everything that happens for a reason has such value. And sometimes we don't realize it until later in life or later down the road, years from now. Just that little seed or seedlings that are planted along our journeys in life. And then they come full circle and you're like, whoa, I didn't realize that. And then when you interact with people, some of those things come out as well. And that's why I like to connect with people when I can. And I'm just glad that he came up to me, because those were the two biggest things that he mentioned that I really took a lot from. And I wanted to jot those down so that I can, you know, refine my messages and make it a little more robust. But that's essentially what I got from our conversations. And just, you know, he had a great personality, very nice, caring. And I will say the last thing, very knowledgeable, super knowledgeable about El Paso. Before we got to the life stuff, or kind of weaving in and out, he was really good at doing that. He would mention a life lesson or tip here and there, and then in between that he would say, oh, and you should check out this place, and have you ever heard of this, and I read here and there about this, and you should definitely, if you can, do this. And he was talking about different historical sites of El Paso. He was saying so many, I was trying to remember everything, but something about the town mines and, oh yeah, the cemeteries, and what else did he... Oh, this tombstone. I think he mentioned on the way to Carlsbad, New Mexico, or somewhere in New Mexico, on the way to somewhere. To visit the tombstone of, I think it was Billy the Kid, and something to do with like the remains. And oh man, I wish I could have recorded him. He was such a better speaker than how I'm speaking right now. But this is just, you know, this is all good. This is fine. Keep going, Jasmine. But yeah, it was awesome. I'm glad I had that opportunity to soak in some El Paso history and knowledge, and also a little bit of, you know, life discussions. And I always think those interactions are signs from God, the creator, the universe, helping to plant those little seeds for myself. And I want to become better at having it be more of an equal interaction, because I know I myself take a lot from other people as far as, you know, valuable information, and wow, you really helped me in saying this way and connecting in that way. But sometimes I feel like I don't do enough of that for other people. I absorb and observe everything versus, you know, noticing something in them. And I try to do it as best I can, but reflecting that back to them pretty much is what I'm trying to say. And I want to get better, and I'm trying to get better at, you know, like a small example. When I met that guy, he talked about poetry and he loved music, and he was thinking about writing a book, and that's how he was like, you should write a book. I wanted to say before he left, okay, now promise me that you're gonna write that book too, or you're gonna publish your poetry, and I'll be there to see it and read it, and you know, all of that awesome encouraging words back to them. So I was getting down on myself a little bit. I was like, oh, I should have said this, I should have said that. But going back to the original point, everything happens for a reason. Everything that was said needed to be said, and just the interaction alone brought a blessing to both of us. So I try to look at it that way. And sometimes people are different in their own ways. Sometimes people love to encourage others because it inspires them to do the same. So that's kind of the feeling I got when I interacted with that gentleman. And he goes by the name of... His name is Ray, short for Ramon. And it was funny because my grandfather's name is Ramon and my uncle's name is Ray. So I told him, your name is going to be easy to remember. And he also said, yeah, I have a niece and a cousin named Jasmine. I was like, okay, cool. We'll remember our names. And then he said, or I always go by the name of Turkey. You will not find another turkey other than maybe one out there as an exception. But in El Paso, you're not going to find the best person named Turkey out there. And I was like, okay, Turkey, okay. And he's like, yeah, my family calls me Daddy Turkey. And it was just so interesting. I was like, okay, I would definitely remember that too. So if I ever write a book or anything along the lines of that, and I give credits, Daddy Turkey, if you're out there, you will definitely be in there. So thank you. I appreciate it. So yeah, that was my adventures in El Paso. And then shortly after that, I came to Las Cruces, which was only 40 minutes away. I was like, wow, okay. So it happened pretty fast after that. But all in all, it was amazing, and I would not take back anything that happened yesterday. I got to stop in Junction too, and I found a little lake. And then when I got to Las Cruces, I tried to do a few last minute things before it got dark. And I went to a park called La Llorona, and I was like, oh, okay, this is a little scary, but there was a lot of people there, and I was like, okay, this is a popular destination, I guess. So I took some footage there as well as the lake in Junction. And then after La Llorona Park, I went to Old Masia Village Town Plaza, and it was like a little town square of the town there. Anyways, it was really cool. It had a lot of shops and stuff. By the time I got there, everything was closed. But I got to take some pictures, and it had some historical little markers and information. So I took some pictures of those, and I went to one of the jewelry shops, and I was able to buy native turquoise for the first time. And it was so cool because I remember my mom wanted something of turquoise, and I got it for her. And I was like, she's gonna love this. She doesn't know yet, but she's gonna love it. And I got her some turquoise with little rose earrings, and I was like, okay, yeah, I hope she likes it, because I'm very indecisive, and sometimes I just kind of go with the best guess. Then I also got myself a bracelet that had some turquoise in there, and it's like, yes, I've always wanted to get something like this. And then it got dark pretty fast, so I started making my way back to the hotel. Before that, though, I wanted to drive by New Mexico State University just so that I could say I did it. And I went there, and it was kind of dark, so I was like, am I in the right place? But I kind of just kept driving around the downtown outskirts, and I finally found the sign where you turn in and it says New Mexico State University, and I was like, okay, so I'm just gonna drive. And I got to see a little bit here and there, and the different shops that were around there. I was like, yeah, that reminds me of Texas State and University of Texas and all those other campus sites. So like, this is cool. And then after that, I came back, and hopefully this morning I'll be able to stop by the travel center that's here in Las Cruces, or a gas station that has a postcard, because I've been wanting to collect postcards. That is my adult fascination at the moment, in recreating what I used to do as a kid, my parents would do with me, collect postcards everywhere we went, and to have those as memories for every place. So I was like, okay, let me try to do this. I'm dedicated and committed to getting a postcard from every major destination I stay at, if I can.
All right, just checking back in. And I wanted to ask y'all a quick question as we take our last intermission. Have y'all ever come across interactions like this? If so, what were some things you took away from them? Did you learn a thing or two about those people or about yourself? I'd love to know more. Drop a comment below. Before we wrap up, I have some additional tips I'd like to share with you for how to believe in the things that bring us joy, and how to believe in ourselves, that we are capable of endless potential regardless of our financial status or current situations. Let's check it out.
All in all, it's been a pretty good experience so far, and I'm gonna try after each day to record as much as I can, and I think I'm gonna do that in placement of writing, because for some reason it's so hard for me to sit down for an extended period of time and just write, free write, and I don't know why that is, but it's just so much easier to get it out verbally. Maybe because my mind goes so fast, and it goes faster than I can put it in words. Anyways, I hope something in this message has helped you in some way, or brought you some inspiration to go take a solo trip yourself, or just a trip in general, if you can. I know right now it's still kind of iffy with the pandemic, and I thought about that, but I was like, no, I just gotta do it. Whatever happens, happens. And finances is also another one. It does cost to travel, I will say. But, it's always good to be resourceful and just kind of be creative with it, and you'll find a way to support yourself along the way. So that's what I keep telling myself. And I was telling my mom this, as far as money talk goes. I've come into this place with money where I have shifted my mindset, because before I was coming from a lack mindset when it came to money. And I didn't really have any reason. I think I just learned it whenever I was growing up. My dad would be really on top of finances and all that, and making sure we just had enough to support ourselves. So I think I kind of learned that from him, and it's not a bad thing. It's helped me to stay on top of my money and to make sure I'm secure and stable. And I think that's the positive of it. But on the flip side, sometimes I can hold on to it too much. I am not able to enjoy myself or treat myself when I should. And so I look at this vacation as finally treating myself to do what it is I want to do and to explore and go on an adventure and get away from the everyday responsibility or character that I've been in my life and just be someone new, someone reinvented, someone who calls the shots and makes their own rules. You know what I'm saying?
Can somebody give me a high?
What I'm trying to iterate is I had to start looking at money in a different way, because if I didn't, I wouldn't be going on this trip, for one, and two, because it's a route to some of the other things that I have to start looking at differently. I had to say, I already have enough. I have more than enough. I'm so abundant. I am being paid to go on this trip, to enjoy myself, to have the time of my life. And when I come back, I'm gonna be all good. I'm gonna be all set. I'm gonna have more money coming in than I originally intended for. And not having that worry of, whoa, am I gonna have to make it up? Am I gonna have to work double as much to recompensate myself for what I spend on the trip, and all of the what ifs, you know? And I'm just like, no, you're good. You are all set. Everything is working for you, not against you. And you're gonna have a flow of money coming in that you did not even expect.
Tell them to bring me my money.
And that has happened along the way before I started going on my trip. And, you know, just not having any expectations, but telling yourself also that you will receive a share no matter what. So that's kind of how I had to look at it, and that in itself branches into different areas of your life. So looking at the way things happen or unfold, it was in their right timing. Having to replan and reroute more than once before going on this trip is another example of how I had to stay positive and have a growth mindset versus a fixed one. And having that growth mindset helps you to stay positive along the way and not let stress get to you, because everything's going to work out, you know? Everything is lining up to help you avoid the things that you could have ran into, but you may not be able to see that with that fixed mindset. So basically, it branches into different areas, and coming together with each piece, overall, it helps you to have a better outlook on how things play out, how you navigate through certain situations and finances and getting through life pretty much. And when that is at a peaceful level or a satisfying level, then that helps you to interact in a positive, uplifting way and share that energy with other people. Because really, money and life and existing is all energy. It's a transmission of energy and exchange of energy. That's how I look at it. Money is not the most important thing for me. Yes, it's important to support ourselves, to get food on the table and survive, but I'm trying to look past that as just a means to survive. I'm trying to look at it as a way to thrive without having to worry about surviving. That was just, I guess, something that I needed to get off my chest as well, and maybe it can help you in whatever you may be going through. But everything I have said, I hope it touches you in some way, and I look forward to continuing recording these little tidbits and reflections and get better at how we can apply it to our everyday lives. And with that, I will leave you with those things, and yeah, I guess stay tuned. Stay tuned to the daily adventures of Jasmine. Oh my gosh, I'm such a smuck. But I hope y'all are having a great, amazing day, and I will see you